implement within your own marketing to drive more bookings. Really, that's what we're trying to help you come away with, is a clear strategy and some new ideas maybe around marketing, specifically what we call inbound marketing, that you can implement in your ends, which we're of course happy to help with along the way. So we're going to jump in. We're going to move through today's session. We're going to spend about 30 minutes probably in the main content. It's going to be a lot to cover in 30 minutes, so we're going to be moving kind of quick. Again, jot down any questions you have along the way, and if you know where your chat panel is in your GoToMeeting, jot your questions down and then put them in the chat panel throughout the meeting. Towards the end of the meeting, I'll get in the chat panel and answer as many questions as we can today. We'll stick around for 15, 20 minutes or so if we have that many questions, and dive into those a little bit more deeply. So any questions you might have about stuff that you're specific in or about what we talk about today, I'd be happy to address for you. So we want to set this up today with telling you a little bit about one of the properties that we have the opportunity to work with. The Governor's House Inn is a boutique bed and breakfast, high-end property, 11 rooms, pretty high ADRs, based here in Charleston as well. The first year we worked with them, we helped them increase their online bookings to 441 online bookings in less than 12 months. They do a lot of their business by phone, so we helped them capture more online bookings while still increasing their phone bookings as well. So it had a significant impact on both of those areas. Increased their overall bookings and revenue by 35% in their first 12 months with us. Increased their total occupancy rate to over 80%. Increased traffic to their website by 43%. And this is one of the really important statistics we like to look at with our clients, and that's the return on marketing investment. We see so many companies out there not understanding what their return on their investment is. And that's one of the things we really encourage people that join us for these boot camp series and so forth to really ask your marketing company if you're working with one. If you're not, if you do all your marketing yourself or have a staff person, really try to track that to a tangible return on investment. So understanding what's performing for you marketing-wise, what's not, and what kind of return is that marketing getting you. I know that might be a little vague. We'll dive into that a little bit more in depth later on in the call today. But I really encourage you all to use the word y'all there. You'll catch me being from the South several times today, but would encourage you to really understand that return on investment, measure that, and track that, and ask for accountability from that for a marketing company if they're doing work for you. And the last point there is, while we did all these things, we avoided doing Groupons or similar deals, Groupons, Living Socials, Travel Zoos. There's a whole host of them out there, but avoided doing things like that, which kill your profit margins. So we were able to accomplish all this without doing Groupons, which is a great thing because, as you being innkeepers know, if you can get a rack rate booking, which is everything we're talking about here is rack rate bookings, you're going to be a lot more profitable than doing steep discounting or something like that to try to increase your bookings. So we'll jump into the process. We talked about inbound marketing, which may be a familiar term for some of you, might be a new term for some of you as well. But the key here is it's a proven process. So it's not something that's new. It's not something, well, it is new, but it's not something that's unproven. And the other key that we want to talk about is the fact that it's a process. So it's a very systematic process to increasing bookings. The challenge is that for most of the innkeepers we talk to is finding the time and knowing where to spend that time. In the registration, we asked you what one of your greatest marketing challenges was, and those are the two things we most commonly hear. It's finding the time to do it all and understanding what's actually worth my time to do. So we're going to talk about that today. Hopefully we're going to answer some of those questions for you, help you overcome some of those marketing challenges, and kind of walk you through the 6-step process that we've developed, the same process we walked the Governor's House through to help them achieve those results I showed you on the last slide. Step 1 in that process is developing a successful strategy. Everything you do stems from a successful strategy and having a plan in place. So many times we see businesses, innkeepers, who will try one thing, they'll try something else, they'll try social media, they'll try email marketing, but they don't do anything consistently. They try it for a while, and maybe it works a little bit, maybe it doesn't, but they don't do it consistently. So there's no clear plan in place for what the next 3 months are going to look like. At the beginning of this year, we hosted a webinar called How to Develop a Marketing Calendar, which you can actually find on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Q4Launch. But the key point we wanted to focus on there was how do you develop that calendar? How do you develop a plan to get the marketing going so that you can have that in place, so then you can hand that off to a staff person to execute, or you can, if you're going to execute it yourself, you can have those goals every day. It's okay, these are my goals for today. This is what I'm going to accomplish. Big picture-wise, though, understanding that marketing is an investment for increasing your bookings, not an expense. We talked briefly about ROI, or return on investment. You'll see that theme throughout our conversation today. But marketing truly is an investment that should provide you a return on that investment. In the way we measure that is increasing your bookings, not an expense. Understanding what your goals are. What are the objectives of the marketing plan? What marketing challenges have you faced? What's worked in the past? What hasn't worked? Who's your ideal customer, and how can you attract more of them? So we hear a lot that, well, we did a Groupon because we wanted to get the revenue, but it attracted our not ideal customer. It attracted the lower end customer who's never going to come back and stay. They're never going to come back and spend our full rack rate to stay here. Where do potential buyers look for you? Are they looking for you online? Are they looking for you in publications? What types of things are they searching for when they're looking for you? And understanding that so that you know how to develop a strategy off of that. How much should you invest in a marketing program? What makes sense for the size of inn that you have, the number of rooms that you have, the ADR that you have? What's a solid investment? And as such, what would you expect your return to be on that investment to consider it a success? And how do you define that success? And then finally, how is this marketing program going to increase our bookings? You can't specifically identify the way that the marketing plan is going to increase your bookings, then you might want to reconsider it. There's got to be a gap in there somewhere. And then once you know how it's going to increase your bookings, track that. Track the performance of the plan to make sure that it is delivering the results that you want. So some people think a marketing plan might be, well, we're going to do search engine optimization to get ranked. Well, that's great, and that's a component of a marketing plan. But if you're not tracking it to see if it's increasing your bookings, if you don't know if getting ranked for those keywords has actually increased bookings, then you don't know if it's successful or not. So make sure that you're tracking that and that you have a plan to do that in place, if you're doing your marketing yourself or if you've hired somebody to help you with it. Step 2, again, we're going to move pretty quick today, but know the chat panel is available to you to ask questions, and I'll get to those towards the end of the session. Step 2 is creating and maintaining a powerful website. Making sure that your website does its job from one, getting traffic there, so making sure that it's search engine friendly, a really important part of that. That you've used photography, great photography. Photography is one of the biggest factors that we see in people choosing to stay somewhere or not, because they're going to have to make a decision based off the photography and the description whether they're going to come to stay with you. And can't emphasize that enough. We love our peers in the industry that are in that space. We enjoy working with several of them, and really encourage you to have good quality photography that you plan to update as your furnishings are updated in your inn and so forth. You know, nobody wants to go stay at a place that looks like the last time it was updated was sometime post World War II. So, you know, really encourage y'all to update your inns regularly and make sure that your photos reflect the beauty of your inn, not just the inside, the rooms, but also the grounds. You know, many of our clients have 100-acre properties that they're on, and sharing that, or they're in downtown thriving districts of bigger cities and sharing that as well, and just showing what it looks like to live in the neighborhood where your inn is, and really communicating the beauty of your area. Making sure that they're mobile ready. You know, if you have a mobile website, that's great. And even better if you have a responsive website. Making sure that your website's mobile ready is easily viewed there. We received several questions around content management systems and our marketing challenges and questions we can address. So we'll talk about those towards the end in our Q&A time. But making sure your website's easy to update, which basically means make sure it's built on a content management system, or what you sometimes see is referred to as a CMS. Make sure that it's built that way so that you can make small updates as you need to, and you don't have to call your web developer every time you need something updated. That can get expensive, but it can also get difficult because of the schedules they have, and they may not get things done as quickly as you want them to. So really focusing on that. Easy to navigate, professional appearance, great photography included in that professional appearance part, search engine friendly, mobile ready, and easy to update. But also understanding that an effective website is the hub of everything else you're doing from a marketing perspective. You know, the slide says online marketing, but we would argue that it's really the hub of everything you're doing marketing-wise, because all of your marketing, people's first response isn't going to be to pick up the phone and call you. Their first response is going to be to go to your website, check it out, see where your property is, see what it's like, see your rates, and decide then if they want to pick up the phone and call you and learn more, or pick up the phone and book. So that website plays a really key role in that. Step 3, so once you have the website in place, if you're happy with the one you have now or you make some tweaks to it, it's doing well, it's doing its job, it's converting traffic into bookings. Now we know if we can drive more traffic, we can drive more bookings. So we have several ways that we look to drive traffic, and this is what we're going to be spending a lot of time in the next sessions connecting on. The first one of those is blogging. And blogging is something that's commonly misunderstood. It's something that a lot of people think, well, what am I going to blog about? Am I just going to write about what we had for breakfast today? You know, what am I really going to write about? You should be creating blog articles, one, that interest your audience, but two, creating blog articles that search engines are looking for. So we recommend to all of our clients, and when we're working on behalf of a client, we do keyword research, and all of the blog ideas that we come up with are based off of that keyword research. I was meeting with a retired innkeeper from the Cape Cod area this morning, and she was sharing with me a blog that she wrote about lobster rolls. And she Googled it a couple days later, not even thinking about it, and found that her inn was listed, number 1 or number 2 for information on lobsters, and how excited that was for her. So she's starting to capture traffic for people that are looking for information on Maine lobsters in the Cape Cod area. That traffic's being captured to her site, and then she has an opportunity to expose the market to her inn and book more rooms, all because of the way she wrote her blog and updating that on a frequent basis. So because you should be writing blogs around keywords, not just around random topics, what we see is the sites that blog regularly get 55% more traffic than those that don't, and they have 400% more indexed pages than sites that don't blog regularly. And that's all important because it's going to affect how much traffic your site gets. And then we know that the traffic your site gets affects how many bookings that you get. So really encourage you, and we're going to dive into that. I think session 3 is going to be specifically around blogging, and really diving in and sharing some more in-depth information on how to do that effectively. The next one, social media. Obviously, this is a big topic for a lot of people. We are asked to come and speak a lot. I was actually speaking at a lunch meeting today for some local professionals on using social media. It's a hot topic. It's been a lot of people are talking about, but really encourage you all to have an active social media presence. In the similar way to most everything in life, you get what you put in. You get out what you put in. So if you're going to throw up a page and never manage it, never keep it up to date, it's not going to do much good for you, and you're not going to see that it works. But if you're actively managing your social media presence, if you're putting engaging content up, if you're sharing photos of things going on in your area, giving people a reason to come visit. The theater just started a new play, and you share some photos from them, or it just snowed, and it's a great time to go skiing, so you're sharing some ski photos and maybe a ski package you've put together. This is a great opportunity to build a following, communicate to that following on a regular basis, and get bookings out of that group of people. These are the people that know, like, and trust you quite often, and they're the people that are most likely probably to come back and stay with you again. People love to remember the time that they had at your inn if they've stayed there before. So give them a way to do that. Share what's going on at the inn. Share pictures around the area. It helps them stay emotionally connected to your inn and increases the likelihood that they'll come back and stay with you again. Additionally, it's a great way to find new people. A lot more people are doing searches in social networks than ever before. Y'all may remember about a month ago, Facebook rolled out that they were beta testing some Facebook search. We're actually part of that beta test and using some of that. I really encourage you to keep your presence up to date in the social media sphere, specifically the major ones like Facebook and Twitter, and understanding that that part of your presence is important, and that people are more and more going to be searching in that sphere for your inn. So making sure that you're using the keywords bed and breakfast or boutique hotel or inn, however you would define yourself, in your title where appropriate, selecting the right category for your business, as Facebook allows you to do that. And then if you can, as the new Facebook search rolls out, or if you know someone who's part of that beta, check to see where you fall in that Facebook search area. It's also a great way to get past guests to engage with you by sharing content that you have, which exposes your information to their friends. So knowing the old saying that birds of a feather flock together, if someone has stayed with you before and they are your target, your ideal guest, chances are they have friends in their circle of influence that are also your ideal guest. And by them interacting with your content, it'll get shared to their friends and drive the likelihood that they would become aware of your ad and then be more likely to stay with you. We'll, of course, talk about that a lot more in depth on our specific social media webinar. The next piece is search engine optimization, or what's commonly referred to as SEO. This is commonly misunderstood. It's an interesting part of the marketing game and a difficult thing. A lot of ends think it's a difficult thing for them to do on their own. We're going to share some tips with you in the third webinar on how to do SEO as a part of our blogging webinar, because in our minds those two things tie directly together. So we're going to share some tips with you how to do SEO effectively, how to optimize your site so that Google's going to be seeing it, and just some real quick, easy things you can do today to better get your site to rank within search engines. Totally easy stuff, honestly, that you can implement in 10 to 15 minutes of time spent on your website, making the assumption that you have a content management system in place. If you don't have a content management system in place, it'd be a little bit harder. You probably have your web developer to do some of that. But we'll share those tips with you on week number 3, so make sure you tune back in for that. The last way we often drive traffic with clients is pay-per-click, or PPC, sometimes referred to as CPC, cost per click, but that's the paid listings on Google search results. The cost of this varies widely based on how competitive your market is, how many other people are bidding on those ads in your market. Those things, of course, drive the cost up. But 70% of the links search users click on are organic, which means that 30%, which is quite a bit, are pay-per-click links. So there's a significant amount of traffic available, and a lot of times the organic traffic doesn't convert as highly as the paid traffic does. At least that's what we see in working with our clients. But this ties back really closely to that return on investment conversation we were going to have. If you are going to be spending money in pay-per-click, and every time somebody clicks your ad, you're paying $1.50 or $2 or whatever to Google for that click, or Facebook. There's lots of ways you can manage pay-per-click. You have to know if those clicks are converting. You don't want to have 200 clicks on your ad and spend $300 a month if it's not driving actual bookings to you. So make sure that you have a way to track that. You can track how many bookings are coming from your pay-per-click campaign, and you know what your ROI on that spend is, and if you're comfortable with that ROI. You know, if you spend $100 but you get 10 bookings, we'd do that all day long. But if you spend $100 and get no bookings, that's probably not such a great idea. If you spend $500 and get 1 booking, still probably not such a great idea. So really important to track that and measure that as a part of your return on investment. So knowing which bookings are coming from those pay-per-click campaigns, really important aspect of that. Step 4 is converting traffic into leads. This is something we don't really see anybody in the industry doing, and it's such a huge opportunity. So we're going to dive deep into this in session 4 of our series together. So I'm going to save kind of the secret sauce for session 4, which I'll share with you then. But we know that there's people at multiple levels of that buying cycle. Google released a research study that actually said that the vacation process is a 4-step process. It's dreaming, planning, booking, and remembering. Everybody focuses their time, from a marketing perspective, on the booking phase. We all want to capture bookings. We all want to capture bookings. A few of us spend time worrying about the remembering phase, getting past guests to connect with us via email marketing, social media, those types of things. But everybody ignores the dreaming and planning phase of the vacation booking process. We're going to teach you on webinar number 4, or bootcamp session number 4, how to stop ignoring the first 2 steps of that process and how it can radically transform the number of bookings that you get. We've implemented this strategy for our clients and just had unbelievable success. And it's a part of the core strategy that we bring to the table with our clients and how we drive more bookings. And it really helps you, and we guarantee if you do this that you'll capture more bookings than you've ever had before. So it's a really exciting opportunity. I'm going to save that secret sauce. A little teaser for you. You've got to come back session number 4 to really hone in on what that's going to be. Step 5 is converting leads into bookings. So we just talked about how you need to be using your site to generate leads that are in the dreaming and planning phase of that process. But what do you do with the leads once you have them? How do you convert them into bookings? We also help our clients with this step of the process, helping them understand what that potential customer is looking for, where that lead came from, giving them information. We also do automated lead nurturing. So we know that you're busy. It's ideal if you can call the leads that your site's generated, assuming you have a site generating leads, booking leads, I should say. But we also, for our clients, and encourage you all to enroll those people into what's called an automated lead nurturing campaign. So you see it about halfway down the page there. It talks about lead nurturing. And what this basically does is any new lead that's generated, somebody who's interested in coming to stay with you, but they're not quite ready to book, it's designed to move them to a place where they are ready to book, but do it in automated nature. So that's set up via email marketing so that they get specific custom messages tailored to them after they become a lead. We typically send them 4 messages, and we'll talk more about this in our 4th session as well. But it's automated, so you or your staff doesn't have to take care of doing it, and it helps you increase the likelihood that someone's going to book with you. So knowing that they're in the dreaming and planning phase, they're on your site, they're on your competitor's site, typically checking out 3 to 4 different properties, maybe more, in your area. By capturing them in the dreaming and planning phase and then nurturing that lead in an automated way, you dramatically increase the likelihood that they'll book with you instead of one of your competitors, which again can really increase your bookings. And then step 6, we talked about return on investment throughout the call today, but step 6 is really measuring everything. Understanding how much your traffic is costing you from a marketing expense perspective, understanding how much of that traffic is converting into leads, what your cost per lead is, your leads to booking ratio, so out of the leads you have, how many of those are converting to bookings. In any given month, we see our clients converting about 20% of their leads to bookings, which is really strong. Some of those are much higher, depending on how engaged they are and how good of a job they're doing in managing that process, that sales process. And also the cost per bookings, which is one of the ways that you measure return on investment. So if we spend $1,000 a month on marketing, are we getting $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in bookings as a result? If we are, then we know our return on investment. If we're not, or we don't know, then we have no way to know if what we're doing is successful or not. And unfortunately, most people are in that place. They don't know if what they're doing is successful or not. They're doing it because they know they need to be doing it, but they couldn't tell you how many bookings they got from it this month. With our clients, we tell them to the dollar. We generated $23,000 in bookings for you this month from the marketing that we've done on top of the bookings that you are already generating, or whatever that number is for a specific client. That happens to be the number for a client I was just out meeting with last Friday. And then you'll see the metrics along the bottom there as well, around those specific different areas of driving traffic. They're kind of hard to read because they're horizontal traffic areas and then vertical measures of success, but ways that you define success of your marketing campaign. That ties back to that strategy we talked about in step 1 and identifying how do we want to measure the success of this campaign and how are we going to know the success of it in all those different areas. So to kind of recap what we talked about inbound marketing as a whole. We talked about that it's a 6-step process. Step 1 is developing a successful marketing strategy, making sure that you have a plan in place to book more rooms and to put that marketing to work to book more rooms, making sure that someone is responsible for those things. So whether it's going to be yourself, a staff person, or a marketing company who's helping you, that's defining who that is and how you're going to determine if it's been successful or not. Creating and maintaining a powerful website, step number 2. So I'm guessing you have a website. Pretty much everybody does at this point. But is it working? Is it powerful? Is it doing its job of converting traffic into bookings? And is it doing its job in a getting you found perspective or generating traffic? And then the maintenance piece of that, the maintain focus is so important there. Your website isn't something you should put up and never touch again. Your website is something that should be constantly evolving, constantly be adding new information via the blog, adding new packages that are relevant to the time of year, whatever it is. Maintaining your website so that as people come back, that there's new information for them to read. That's going to increase the time on site and increase the number of bookings you have as well. And then step 3, where we spent a lot of time today, is generating more traffic, doing search engine optimization, managing your social media well, managing your email marketing, managing pay-per-click if that fits within your strategy, managing your blog in an effective manner where you're blogging about keywords that you've researched, not just random topics. All around driving more traffic, knowing that traffic is one of the first measures that leads down the road to bookings. Step 4, converting traffic into leads, which is probably a little confusing to some of you because it's not a concept that most Innkeepers are familiar with. But if you think about it, if you've got any friends that are in the sales world, leads are everything for salespeople. They're the start of that sales process for them. In the same way, you have a unique opportunity to be generating leads for your business. People who aren't ready to book, but they're out there, they're surfing the web, and they're willing to kind of raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in coming to your area. I'm interested in coming to Cape Cod. I'm interested in coming to Charleston, Park City, wherever your inn is. I'm interested in coming to stay there. I'm not ready to book, but I'm looking for some more information. So you have an opportunity to convert that traffic into a lead and capture that. The fifth step is converting leads into bookings. And that's one of the most important parts of that whole process, because that's where we're going to get that return on investment. If we're not getting the bookings, it's just not going to be, it's not worth doing. So, and then step 6 is measuring everything, knowing ROI-wise what's out there, what's working for you, what's not. Are you getting the bookings you want from that, and how do you measure that? We had that slide up where we kind of talked about lots of different metrics to measure that success. I really encourage you to do that. Dig into your Google Analytics, or get on a monthly marketing meeting if you have a staff person who's assigned to marketing. Sit down, have a cup of coffee, dive into the data, and determine how you're going to measure that success, and then measure it on a monthly basis so you know if it's working or not. And if you are working with a marketing agency, ask them what your return on investment is. You've got to know that if you're going to continue to spend money on marketing. Our homework for you today, we're going to have a homework for you on every one of our webinars to help you take your next step in marketing. This homework, actually, lucky for you, falls more back on us to do, but it's a great area for you to dive in and get some help understanding where you're doing well marketing-wise and some areas for improvement. So as part of what we're doing as part of this webinar series and our commitment to our association partners, we're going to be offering our Marketing Grader Report for you, along with a free 30-minute consultation to review your specific marketing. So we're not going to talk in generalities like we are in the entire webinar. We're going to talk about specifics to your property. We're going to run our Marketing Grader Report for you, which is going to tell you on a scale of 0 to 100, how well are you doing marketing-wise. It's going to give you an unbiased score, and it's going to identify and give you tangible improvements you can make in your marketing, customized to you, to better your score, if you will, so that you can obviously increase traffic, increase leads, and increase bookings. So all you have to do if you want to get access to that Marketing Grader Report, which again we're going to make free to everybody who attends, is to email your website address and contact information to matt@Q4Launch.com. I actually have your website address since you registered and gave us that when you registered. So if you want access to the Marketing Grader, all I ask that you do is shoot us a reply email. There are a lot of people that registered for the webinar series, and we're not going to do it for everybody because we know not everybody's interested. So only if you're interested are we going to make it available to you, just because of the time investment for our staff to do that. But we are happy to do it for those of you that are really looking to take things to the next level. Again, that's totally free of charge, and it includes a 30-minute follow-up call via webinar. We'll walk through it and help it become real and tangible for you. So just shoot me that email at the end of the webinar today, and we'll get that going for you. I'll respond to your email and get a time scheduled to review that with you. We are going to be at the Mid-Atlantic show this Saturday through Tuesday. The show actually starts Sunday, but we'll be there, so we won't be able to do any of these Marketing Grader recalls until after next week's webinar. But please do go ahead and send us that that email so we can get you scheduled, get a time on the calendar to get that done for you. And then one of my favorite slides, the Big Bang Theory slide. It's Stump the Geek time. We often refer to ourselves as geek with our clients and have a good laugh about that. But any questions that you have, blow up the chat panel with that. We got a few questions that have come in that I'm going to jump on here and answer. But any questions you have specifically about something we talked about today, or as well about anything going on marketing-wise with your end, happy to answer those for you. So just put those in the chat panel, and we'll get that taken care of. Did want to answer the question from earlier that we talked about, specifically about going into content management systems. Kind of a vague question. There's a lot of content management systems available. We do highly encourage everyone to invest in a content management system. And when I say that, I just mean build your website on a content management system. A lot of web developers have proprietary systems. There's also open source systems or systems that don't have a software cost associated with them. Definitely the most popular there is called WordPress. 1 in 5 websites that launches every day on the internet is a WordPress website. So it's the most widely used content management system. It's very intuitive, very easy to use. If you know how to use Microsoft Word, you'll know how to use the editor in the content management system, WordPress. So that's a great one to use. It's one that we use for our clients and encourage y'all to use. Companies like Boutique and several others in the industry do have proprietary systems. The downside to that is if you ever wanted to leave that relationship, if you weren't happy, they can make it difficult to leave just because of the nature of it being a proprietary content management system. So absolutely encourage y'all to do that. I have another question coming in on social media and how to grow your following. That's a really good question. We're going to share several tactics and tips on that in our social media webinar and dive into that more in depth. So I'll kind of save that for that webinar and encourage you to get into that. But I will say, obviously you understand the value of a following or you wouldn't be asking the question, but the following is a key element in several capacities. One, it talks to credibility. So if people are checking you out online, there's this credibility check that a lot of people are doing. Used to be if you were in the yellow pages, you were credible. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now people are checking out your website, seeing if you're credible. They're also checking you out on social media to see if you're credible. And by having a larger number of fans in social media, you appear credible. Even if some of those people aren't engaging with you on a regular basis, just having that larger number is kind of one of those credibility checks that people do. You know, if you have 100, 200 fans, you might seem less credible when you consider that you have maybe 10 rooms. You've got a lot of people flowing through there every week. Why do you only have 100 or 200 fans? So really encourage you all to build those followings as a part of that credibility process, and then engage with them regularly so that you can get the feedback. Part of that engagement drives what's called the Facebook Edge Rank, which we'll talk about. But that Facebook Edge Rank is going to help you show up in people's news feeds more often. So once they're a fan, then you have the battle of getting into their news feed so they actually see the content you're sharing. Some additional great ways to grow your following or to do contests and giveaways. There's a blog on our blog called How to Run a Facebook Contest. If you Google How to Run a Facebook Contest, we are one of the, I believe, top 5 results that comes up depending on which of Google's data centers you hit. We vary a little bit, but that's a great example of how to run a contest to drive fan growth. We ran one for a client last November, a Veterans Day competition, and did a photo contest, but there's a lot of specifics with Facebook how you have to do that. If you violate their terms of service, you can get yourself in trouble. So encourage y'all to check that blog out. It's also a great example of blogging around the keyword to get traffic to your website. So our website gets a decent amount of traffic every month just from people Googling how to run a Facebook photo contest. We get a lot of traffic back to our site, get an opportunity to do business and help some of those people with their social media presence. So great example of using blogging around keyword research to capture traffic as well. So well, those were the 2 questions that had come in via the chat panel today. So must not have a ton of questions, either that or you'll have check-ins coming and you're busy trying to get back to those. Which we will let you all run to do those if you're on the Eastern Coast. If you're on the Western Coast, you may have just gotten the checkouts done, hence the time that we set for today to try to capture people between those 2 areas. So I'll stick around for a few minutes, answer any other questions that pop into the chat panel. But if there's no other questions, look for an email coming from us. We'll also get this posted to YouTube for you so that you can share this recording with any other staff members that may find it beneficial. Know that the next 3 webinars that we're going to be covering are going to be much more in-depth, deeper into those topics. We'll be spending a lot more time really focusing into those topics and sharing very practical advice. Today we wanted to give you an overview and start getting your mind thinking in terms of inbound marketing and how to use some of these strategies, and then we'll dive deeper in the future weeks. Our next section is going to be how to use Facebook and Pinterest to find new guests and create returning guests. Again, that's going to be Wednesday, March 13th from 2 to 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 to 11:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll email the recording out from today. It'll also be posted to our Facebook page. So if you're not fans of us on Facebook, check us out at facebook.com/Q4Launch. And finally, if you're interested in that marketing grader report to get your marketing score, shoot me an email afterwards with your information, and I will reply to that to get that scheduled with you. Thanks everybody for attending today. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we look forward to seeing you all either at the Mid-Atlantic show, if you're going to be there. Please do come say hi. If you're not, we look forward to seeing you next week on the webinar, March 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you again soon.